And it's like a Jesus tie. So it's like has crosses on it, says Jesus all over it. And when I worked for Bank of America, I used to wear that tie because I used to have to dress up. And I used to walk around. I worked for Bank of America downtown. There were times where I would be on lunch downtown over by GSU, Marietta Street, that area. And you know, a lot of transients, a lot of homeless people in that area. And I would walk around with that tie on, and a lot of homeless people in transients, they would come and ask for money. Sometimes I would give them money, sometimes I wouldn't. The times that I didn't give them money, they would say, "You need to take that tie off, brother. You ain't a Christian. You ain't giving me no money." The assumption and the implication is, because I'm a Christian, I'm required to give to every poor person. I'm required to give to every organization. I'm required to give to every single person that has a handout. But can I just give you some words of Jesus real quick? Jesus, when he was being anointed by the woman that brought the alabaster box, and she was crying on his feet and wiping his feet with her hair, and the disciples and everybody around, they were livid because they thought that the oil could have went to better causes, and they thought that she should save the oil to give to the poor. Jesus said something interesting. He said, "The poor will be with us always." In other words, you can't give to every single poor person, because if you give to every single poor person, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be poor. You have to be deliberate with the seed that you sow. You have to be specific and targeted with the seed that you sow, because all seed has the potential to produce. And if you sow your seed in a place where it shouldn't go, then somebody, maybe you, is going to miss their blessing. If I have an apple seed, but I planted in the wrong soil, then somebody's not going to get an apple. If I have a watermelon seed and I planted in the wrong soil, somebody will not get a watermelon. My goal with every single seed that I have is to plant it in the right place, the most fertile place, the place that I think will yield the best results, so that not only will my family be blessed, but everybody else will be able to eat the apple that I planted, because I realize that one apple seed could yield 10 apples. So not only will we take an apple, but you'll be able to take an apple too, because I targeted my seed and planted it in the right soil. You have to be real cognizant of where you're sowing. You cannot sow into everything and everybody. Uncle Jimmy calls. Uncle Jimmy is a known alcoholic, asking you for money. You feel bad, and you feel like it's your Christian duty to sow to Uncle Jimmy, when really all you're doing is enabling Uncle Jimmy. And all you're doing is making Uncle Jimmy worse. Why don't you target that seed? And why don't you say, "Uncle Jimmy, rather than giving you $500, I'm going to sow $500 to this shelter over here, so that you can go to the shelter and get the food that you need." Target your seed so that it's more specific. Because in the planting season, you'll have a whole bunch of opportunities to give, and you have to treat every single seed as precious. Yes. You have to treat every single seed as valuable. Because let me tell you what the enemy tries to do in planting season. He specializes in stealing seed. If the enemy can cut it off at the roots, then he's victorious. Look at what happens later on in the text. Look at verse 4. As the farmer was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. And what happened? And the birds came and swooped down and ate the seed up. The enemy wants to eat your seed, because if he can eat your seed, he can destroy your harvest. And if he can disrupt your planting season, your giving season, then ultimately he can disrupt what you will reap during the reaping season, because the reaping season is really just a reflection of the giving season. Let me tell you something. The reason why you give shouldn't be to give, but a byproduct of giving is that you give. That happens as kind of like a domino effect of giving. And the enemy does everything he can to steal the seed, whether it be your money, whether it be your talent, whether it be your ability. See, I think I can sing a little bit. Just a little bit. And I realized that there was a time where I just kind of stopped singing. And when I did try to start singing again, it didn't sound pretty kosher. Kind of sounded a little funny. And my gift was fair game for the birds to come in and eat it. The enemy is after your seed, whatever it is, and if you give the enemy a foothold, he'll come in and he'll take your seed. How does he take my seed, Pastor Isaiah? 2 ways, the text indicates. 2 ways. 2 ways. Verse 5, some of the seed fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched. The seed went in, shallow soil, the plant came up, the sun came out. Outside persecution. And scorched the plant and ultimately damaged the seed. During your planting season, be real careful of outside persecution. Be real careful of people saying your generosity. Be real careful of people saying that you're singing at this church, or that you're giving to this church, or that you're sowing into this person. And you know what they say. You know how people talk against what you put in the offering book. You know, they say things like, all that preacher want is your money. All that church want is your money. Be careful of the outside persecution that will come in and sway you and try to get you to reconsider and rethink where you're sowing. Because it'll come. The enemy will send naysayers. The enemy will send people to you to say things like, you sure you got that much? Now you know you're a college student, right? Now you know you're a single parent, right? Now you know you got this, and you know you got that, and you know you got that. And before long, you know what'll happen? You know what'll happen? You'll find yourself hoarding your seed. You'll find yourself holding on to seed when seed isn't meant to be held on to. Seed is meant to be planted. But the moment the outside persecution comes, what they'll do is they'll try to sway you, get you to rethink and redetermine, and before long, you'll find yourself with all this seed and nowhere to plant it. And that's dangerous, because let me tell you something. If I had $100 bill in my fist right now, yes, my fist is closed, so the $100 can't get out, right? But guess what else happens? Nothing else can get in. So I might be holding on to my seed, but at the same time that I'm holding on to my seed, I'm missing out on my blessing. The same time that I'm holding on to my seed, I'm turning away people that might say, let me take your 100 and give you 1,000. Let me take your 50 and give me 100. But that's what happens when the outside persecution starts to come. You start to listen to the voices. You start to listen to what they have to say. And all of a sudden, the outside persecution begins to determine for you where you plant.